Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to give you guys an update on the 54-gallon reef tank. So we need to do a little bit of maintenance on the tank for this week. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with cleaning the filter socks because it's super clogged up. As you can see, it's backed up. The skimmer was finally turned on for about 2 weeks, and it's about half of the cup is filled. So it's doing its job and it's doing pretty well. And also we need to add in some more water for the auto top off. Now with this filter socks, this one, the pore size is actually a lot smaller, so it gets clogged pretty easily. I'm just kind of cycling through a bunch of filter socks that I have, and right now I'm just trying to go through them, and once I have a stash of them kind of dirty and just kind of dry, I'm going to throw them into the washer and wash them all at once, and just kind of cycle through them all again. The skimmer, it took me a couple tries to actually dial in the skimmer. Initially when I turned it on, it was skimming really wet. I raised the skimmer a little bit by using the marine block on the bottom of the skimmer. It gave it about like half an inch to an inch ish on top of that. So it looks like it's doing a little bit better. And every week I actually have to fill up this auto top off because it just gets drained pretty fast actually, because this auto top off is only about 3 gallons. The system is 54 gallons. And for the most part, it gets drained in about a week. Alright, so let's take a look at the tank real quick. There is some spots of algae here and there on the tank, but overall the tank is actually maturing really well. If you probably look at the previous video of this exact same update for this tank here, the whole tank was just caked with algae. It just goes through an algae phase where the tank is trying to balance and mature. And I think it's slowly getting there. I have not added any additional snails into this tank. I still need to eventually probably get at least a couple more just to help control the actual algae in the tank. But as you can see, the snail is actually doing a very good job in terms of keeping it under control so far. There was one new addition to the tank. I did end up having to add a heater into the tank just because it is wintertime. It is starting to get fairly cold where the tank temperature is dropping closer to the 70-ish degrees. So I kind of just threw in this heater here to kind of bump it up to around 74-ish. Now, normally I don't really use glass heaters, but I got this one for free because a while back I did mention that my cobalt heaters kind of cracked and exploded, and another one was electrocuting me. I got in contact with Cobalt to try to get some, I don't know, replacements or something like that. They didn't have any other ones in stock, so they just kind of gave me these other ones for free. Up until then, I haven't needed to use them, so finally I was able to bust this out and use it. It's not sticking to any of the tank walls. It's just kind of dangling there. I should probably end up like suction cupping it to the wall, but I'm just kind of lazy right now. Also, every week I do try to feed the tangs some form of macroalgae or seaweed. This week it is macroalgae, so I pulled some Clarpa from my other system, and I'm actually just going to put it into a clipper and just kind of drop it in the water and let the tangs kind of pick at it. On the last video, someone did comment about the tangs being a lot skinnier than normal. And yes, they are skinny. I did buy these guys online, so one, I didn't, I couldn't really pick out the ones that I want. Obviously, they just kind of gave me some rando ones, and I got 3 of them. One of them, the one that you see here, was probably the beefiest one out of all of them. The other ones that were super skinny, one of them actually didn't make it because it was so skinny. That one literally just shriveled up, and I'm not sure what happened. It was eating, but it just kept, getting skinnier and skinnier throughout the weeks, and that poor guy did not make it. The other Tang that was kind of skinny too, but wasn't as bad as the one that previously passed away, that one was slowly getting picked on, so I ended up moving that one into the other system to try to beef him up a little bit. And that one's doing fairly fine in the other system. It still has some ways to grow and kind of beef up a little bit, so I'll probably give that Tang maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple, maybe 2 or 3 more months of just eating straight in the other tank alone before trying to introduce them into this big tank. So throughout the winter months, I'm probably just going to keep the tank as is, let the tank mature probably a couple more months before I can add actually any of the anemones into this tank. I'm still waiting for some of the anemones in the other tank to split. I'm hoping for them to split in maybe a month or so, and then giving another month to kind of just recover, beef up in the other tank. And then once they're good, once this tank matures around the 5/6 month mark, I will probably introduce probably one of the anemones into this tank, and we'll see what happens. If they do good, we'll continue to add anemones into the tank and kind of establish this tank a little bit. And then sometime next year, I'll probably pick a few more stocks, go set them through quarantine. Once they go to quarantine, we'll add them into this tank. But for now, just the winter months, it's a little bit hard for them, especially outside in the garage. I do have heaters out there, but it's just, eh, you kind of tend to get a little bit lazy in terms of your water changes and stuff in the winter months. So I don't want to kind of risk that. All right, guys, and that's the quick update on the 54-gallon reef tank. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's update. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you're subscribed. And like always, until next time, guys, peace.